And Ms. Brody, we have 1, 2, 3 board members on the call. If you want to, let me know if you want to give it another minute. I believe all staff is here now. Ms. Brody, we have 1, 2, 3 board members on the call. If you want to, let me know if you want to give it another minute. I don't want to hear my voice.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, we can go. Let's start.
We are streaming, so whenever you're ready, feel free to open up.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are going to get underway with our January 2026 Happy New Year Committee of the Whole meeting for Hartford Public Schools. I'm the chair, Shantae Brody. And with that said, we're going to jump right into it. I am going to turn the floor over to Dr. Ratley to get us going. And I apologize for being off camera for the start.
Thank you, Board Chair. Good evening, members of the board and superintendent. We are here tonight as members of the academics and schools team to share brief updates regarding our engagement with instructional partners with which we've either contracted or with whom we are engaging in work. The members of the team are Dr. Aria Coburn, who will provide updates on CT Rise and Attuned, Dr. Al Saki, who will share updates on Ready CT and the Connecticut Literacy Model, and I will co-present with our newest member of the team, Mr. Chris Weiss, who joins us as Executive Director of School Improvement and supervises principals primarily in our Northern Corridor. The aim for tonight is to provide an update on our work with partners up to this point. Our intent is simply to give the board a lens into the work that is happening as a result of those partnerships thus far. We do intend to provide more detailed summaries during upcoming Teaching and Learning Committee meetings and budget discussions. We'll begin with the Relay Partnership. Could please go to the next slide. As always, in alignment with our strategic priorities and objectives, this work hits directly on skilled and diverse teams as well as whole and healthy students. Next slide, please. And again. Thank you. School leaders participating in the Relay Professional Development have seen this slide more than once. The goal is to increase the amount of time leaders spend focused on instruction. If we want to increase student outcomes, we need to move the needle on the amount of time that we as leaders spend on instruction. In 2013, the Urban Institute conducted a study on principal time use and school effectiveness, which indicated that the average leader spends only 6% of time on instruction. Our goal is to, whenever possible, move that number upwards by developing leaders' skills and confidence around instructional leadership. And specifically with this partnership, we're building a bench of leaders who can share those practices with their colleagues. I'll now turn it over to Mr. Weiss. Next slide, please.
Good evening, members of the board. This is Chris Weiss. My most recent work was Bridgeport Public Schools, Executive Director of School Leadership. And I'm so happy to be able to join the Hartford Public Schools in this new role. And I actually have a background in Relay, which is very exciting for me. I got some significant training through Bridgeport for the Relay process. So I'm really excited about being able to do that here in Hartford. So the focus here is on the Relay Leadership Program Theory of Action. This is on the screen. And the theory of action is that if committed teams experience powerful learning, they increase skill in core practices, they adopt and adapt key systems and structures, increase use of core practices, then we will see improved student outcomes. So we're very excited about that process. Relay, in their designing of their theory and the work that in instruction, is very much team-based, practice intensive, and grounded in real world artifacts. And there's a lot of good work. So I'm excited about that work here in Hartford. And on the next slide we'll go to, we'll see at the mid-year review about the professional development for leaders. Go ahead and switch to the next slide. Thank you. Framework there is designed to build internal capacity of leaders and teacher leaders by equipping staff with the skills, resources, and systems needed to sustain the work of instructional leadership independently. 8 schools, participating schools, and many of them are the schools I'm working with directly. That's Weaver High School, Milner Middle School, MLK Middle School, Wish Elementary, Sand Elementary, as well. The schools Buckley High School, Burr Middle School, MD Fox Elementary, that the other executive directors are supervising. And then I wanted to mention the University of Hartford research team, because we partnered with this University of Hartford to support data collection, both quantitative and qualitative, for grant purposes. So we're very excited about this possibility and the work that's happening through Relay.
As we look up evidences of progress, just to give you an idea of the type of professional learning that is taking place with these leaders and their teams, 4 sessions are planned for the year in the area of culture, meaning minute by minute planning, whether that has to do with transitions for students, arrival, dismissal of students, those things, to make sure that leaders are planning and executing on those plans to develop strong cultures. Observation and feedback, so learning how to give not just written feedback to teachers, but actionable feedback to teachers, so that when a leader gives that feedback to the teacher, you can actually see the change in practice and help teachers build on their practices. There are practice clinics and data collection. A practice clinic is basically a chance for leaders to practice what they've learned. So oftentimes we hear of workshops or go to trainings, and then it's how do we know that they're actually going to put it into practice? And our leaders engage in these practice clinics where they do just that. Coaching for rigor rounds. So the instructional rounds that are looking at, is instruction at the rigor level it needs to be, and using tools that are supported with Relay to help them understand the rigor trajectory. In other words, how you build the level of rigor in a classroom. And they actually engage in instructional rounds that are centered on rigor. The final portion that they will learn the second half of the year has to do with monitoring for learning. So as you put the things in place, you practice, you're giving feedback. Now, how do you have these specific processes to ensure that you are not letting up on whether or not there's evidence of student learning? So other evidences of progress include, again, those practice clinics, putting that work into action. These instructional rounds that occur at the school site, school teams go into classrooms and then actually put into practice how they would give feedback and so forth. What are they seeing? We'll have future rounds this month, planned for March and for May. We've worked with Relay to also create a Hartford hub so that this thing around sharing practices isn't just talk. It's actually collecting evidences, whether it be videos, whether it be tools that schools are developing, and placing them all in one place. So when it comes to that point that we're sharing the work from principal to principal or school to school, there's actually a place where people can access that. And then finally, our leaders in 2 schools are actually receiving in-person and virtual coaching from a Relay lead. So we just selected 2 schools for those leaders to receive one-to-one coaching, and that is absolutely taking place and in place. Next slide, please. When we think about successes and challenges, very lightly put, successes around leader knowledge for effective feedback routines and procedures has been enhanced. This notion of practicing, which can sometimes feel a little awkward, our leaders are getting very used to that. Leaders are seeing evidence of their own progress. So not only are they putting the plans together, putting into work, they're actually seeing the change happen and starting to lead that change on their own. And then the remaining PD days, they're on schedule. Sometimes you can start a project and you realize you have to change up or switch things, but we are right on schedule with getting those remaining PD days out. And that research team has been actively involved, coming to some of the professional learning. Next, they will meet with school teams to see how things are going and collect that qualitative data that Mr. Weiss mentioned earlier. One challenge, which remains a challenge, which we welcome the challenge and we always have to work through it, is just around supporting and prioritizing leader time. We know that it is so essential that change happens at the school level, particularly with that instructional leader in place. And there are a lot of things that school leaders have to manage. And so we continuously work through what are the systems we can put in place at the district level in order to help schools and support them in prioritizing their own time. That concludes the segment on Relay. I'll pause there.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I don't see any hands. Let's continue.
I am excited to share our updates that we have. We'll focus on CT Rise and Attune. Myself and Director Cuevas will give an overview. Next slide. And so some of the work that we've really been focusing on is how do we leverage our partners to be in partnership with what we're doing. So we're driving the work and we're using our partners to elevate that work. So in line with our strategic plan, we focus on expansive learning and opportunity and really looking at the 9th through 12th grade student experience, thinking about their 9th grade entry year and how we can get some early indicators, and thinking about 12th grade so that when they graduate, we have set them up for success, whether that's college, that's career, that's going into the military, or taking a gap year. And so our work has really been centered around there. We've leveraged our partners to lean into our district goals and priorities so that we're in line with seeing success. And we've been tracking data and gathering feedback from students and staff. Our heart of the focus for the year has really been on 12th grade students wanting to think about what happens life after Hartford Public Schools. So the beginning of the year, we focused on that. We have a lot of data to celebrate. Some of the data that you'll see will lean into where we're going from now to the end of the year. And that's really focused on our 9th grade students. Again, we've gathered some data to give us some early indicators on what we need to do from now to the end of the year to make sure that we have success. And then we're focused on the FAFSA completion. Next slide. Right, and I'm going to turn it over to Director
Cuevas to give an overview on our partnership with CT Rise and the work that they've been doing, particularly in our 9th and 12th grade.
Good evening, board members, superintendent. On slide 13, you see our initial goals for the 25-26 scope of the work focus on our 4 key objectives. First, we are building capacity by strengthening our school system to sustain 9th grade on-track efforts and post-secondary access. Second, we aim to drive results by improving these rates through refined strategies and stronger partnership. Third, we are fostering collaboration through cross-school learning opportunities and consistent practices across all comprehensive high schools. And finally, we are using data effectively to equip our leaders to design evidence-based strategies. Our overarching priorities remain to increase the share, like Dr. Coburn shared, to share 9th grades navigating their first year successfully, and to ensure our graduates are fully prepared for the post-secondary plans. Next slide, please. On slide 14, we have some significant post-secondary celebrations to share. Our school teams have made major progress, particularly in plan identification. At the district level, we have seen a 21% increase in students identifying their post-secondary plans. This success is largely due to the strong rollout of our senior survey, which is generating actionable data in the Hartford Hub. I'd like to highlight that Buckley, Hartford High, and Weaver have all reached between 97 to 100% in plan identification this year, as you can see. Slide 15. Continuing with our celebration on slide 15, our district has seen a 24.6 percentage point increase in overall application completions. Most notably, the completion of the two-year applications jumped from 11% to 97% in 1 year. Regarding our FAFSA, for this year, we are seeing an increase in both college and trade school bound students compared to last year. Each high school has chosen a new financial aid strategy as of December to increase support for our eligible students. And our students who are for our eligible students. We are also closely monitoring our ineligible students who currently make up about 30% of our seniors to ensure they receive the alternative support that they need. Next slide, please. And that concludes our presentation on CT Rise.
Okay.
Dr.
So-
Colbert?
Yes, thank you. So I'll move into our partnership with Attune, focusing on our 5 INET schools, which we're really excited about the work that's happening here. And so some of the key activities that have been identified is clearly define the innovation goals aligned to student outcomes. And I would say that has been the heart of the focus. Also using progress monitoring tools to track results throughout the year and build a leadership capacity, which has been very instrumental in the work that we've done this year, looking at those schools and where those leaders are, thinking beyond just 1 year goals, but really thinking about a 3-year plan. And so the outcome schools move from short-term pilots to embedded impactful practices that improve student learning and engagement. Next slide. So this has been achieved through bi-weekly coaching. And so this year, the focus has been making sure that our leaders are getting the support that they need and the on-site progress monitoring walkthroughs. And so at the beginning of the year, data was collected through a walkthrough system. And then just recently, Attuned is meeting with our principals to do the middle of the year walkthrough, which has been helpful for us to really think about where are we at this mid-year point and what do we have to do to continue. One of the other places that Attuned has really leaned in and been support, Buckley is one of the schools that they have on their caseload. And so helping Buckley think about the transition from moving from 2 campuses to 1, which has been very helpful. And the same thing with BSTEM, helping to stabilize leadership and instruction. And so for the duration of the year, they will be looking at continuing with their walkthrough, progress monitoring, and again, moving beyond just 1 year plan, but really thinking about a 3-year plan that gets at student achievement and success. Next slide. And so we'll pause there. Any questions for us on CT Rise or Attune?
Board members? Any questions?
None for me.
I'm also.
Okay, we can keep moving. We're able to continue. We don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you. I ended up talking with my mic on mute, so sorry about that. And good evening, members of the board, Board Chair Brody, and Superintendent Townsell. I hope everyone is doing well. Happy New Year to all of you. And I just wanted to give a brief update on our partnership with the Hill for Literacy as well as Ready CT. We worked in collaboration.
I believe he just froze. Dr. Saki, if you can hear us, you're frozen.
We funded 114.
Oh,
Oh, can you hear me?
now we can.
Okay. So I'm not sure what all you missed, but we worked in collaboration with the state to bring the Hill for Literacy and the Connecticut Literacy Model to Hartford. Even though it was $233,000, we funded $114,720 of that. So for slide 2, so partner services, in collaboration with the Hill for Literacy, we're strengthening our data-driven instruction and decision-making by establishing assessment frameworks and conducting grade-level data meetings. There are going to be 5 cycles of these data meetings that are done in collaboration with the Hill. We're also working on creating structures such as the literacy lead meetings, principal meetings, district literacy leadership meetings, and all of these different meetings will help us ensure that there is coherent and consistent implementation for general education students, students receiving special education, and or multilingual learner supports. We're also working on building our own internal capacity by using the shadow co-coach and coach the coach model. So shadowing meaning that, you know, our district literacy coach as well as the building literacy leads sort of shadow our staff from the Hill for Literacy. Then they do sort of like a co-coaching of the teachers, and then the staff from the Hill actually coaches our staff, our literacy leads, as well as our district coaches. And this allows us to transition from the support we're receiving from the Hill to our own internal support. We're also building our principals' capacity by holding monthly principal meetings to provide coaching and technical support. So, you know, so principals normally come to those meetings if they have any questions or any kind of technical issues. That's where a lot of that is hashed out and resolved. Next slide, please. Thank you. We have had multiple rounds of progress monitoring for our K-3 teachers with support from our building literacy leads. We're also working on ensuring that there is consistent implementation of the Connecticut literacy model. So teachers are regularly using the foundational skills lesson plan to support students in small groups. And this was some targeted professional learning teachers received on small group instruction. So they are utilizing what they're learning to better support their students. Coaching support for our Connecticut Literacy Model staff. Currently, 7 out of our 10 Cohort 1 schools have received at least 1 coaching session. This also supports our literacy leads so that they can also better support their colleagues at the building level. Our district coaches, like I mentioned before, are also supporting our Cohort 1 schools, working alongside the Hill coaches in order to also build their own capacity. And, you know, the goal is always to see how we can wean up the support so that, you know, our staff provides the support. Our teachers also received professional learning opportunities to help ensure that our assessments like DIBELS and the core phonics are being implemented with fidelity. Next slide, please. Okay, so some of our successes, our district is making strides in implementing the Connecticut literacy model with support from the Hill, the building literacy leads, district staff, as well as building principals and teachers. We've been able to facilitate 3 rounds of the DIBELS progress monitoring meetings So these meetings help our teachers analyze their student data and plan their instruction based on that data. So they plan their instruction, they plan their small groups based on that data. Our teachers have also received individual support and feedback. Some of the challenges is ensuring that there is consistent implementation across all of the cohort 1 CTLM schools. Next slide. So next steps, K3 teachers will continue to participate in professional learning. This time, with a focus on refresher training for the DIBELS and the core phonics screener, which should be happening in January. There'll be the middle of the year assessment and data analysis, which is going to happen in February. Progress monitoring will continue in March. And we're also working on creating a K-12 literacy plan in collaboration with the Hill for Literacy and the state. So that concludes my share on the Hill. I'll pause for questions, or I can jump into Ready CT. Okay. So moving on to Ready CT. The next update will be on Ready CT. The Ready CT contract was approximately $494,000. 354,000 of that was for the general pathways that supported our 3 comprehensive high schools and Pathways Academy. There was an additional 140,800 that was also from a grant, but went to support specific schools and their pathways. Next slide. Oh, sorry, let's stay right there. Sorry, go back one more. Sorry about that. So our partner services collaboration, we create relevant career pathways and work-based learning opportunities for students. So when students choose a pathway, they actually have an opportunity to go and do an internship, based on those pathways. Design and deliver best practices, convenings, and related resources. And on the next slide, I'll give you some examples of that in terms of some of the experience and opportunities that students are receiving thus far with Ready CT. And then at the state level, advocate for policies that narrow Connecticut's achievement gap between low-income and non-low-income public school students. That's some of the work that Ready CT also does behind the scenes. And then just raise the public profile of key educational issues or any of the ongoing issues that we are facing as a district or that's happening statewide. They also help to raise some of those issues and advocate on those. Next slide, please. So yes, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but as you can see, our schools have various pathways. If you look at Buckley, we have the Emerging Technologies, Public Service, Hartford Public Schools, Hartford Public High School has Allied Health and Engineering. And if you look at that last column, that lists all of the key partners that we've been working with. Weaver High School has Insurance and Finance, Media Technology. Great Path has the general focus. Pathways Academy also has information technology. So these are just some examples of the various pathways that our students have an opportunity to engage in. And like Dr. Ratley said, when we have our Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, we're going to dive into this a lot more deeper, but this is more of an overview. Next slide, please. And again, if you're to look at these slides, these are some of the experiences our students have had or are going to have this school year. So everything from guest speakers for our 9th and 10th graders, worksite tours, if they're interested in a place and they want to actually go and tour, they have the opportunity to do that. For our 10th and 11th graders, everything from resume development, practice interviews, shadowing somebody in a job that they like. So, there's a whole array of experiences that our students have. For 11th and 12th graders, they actually get paid for their internships, which is absolutely amazing, so that they actually make money while they're working towards a pathway of interest to them. And then for some of our students, they also get industry recognized credentials. So when they finish the pathway at the end of it, they actually get credentialed where they can find a job if they choose to after high school, or if they choose to go to college. So they have both of those opportunities. Next slide, please. So some of the challenges, ensuring that all pathways have the resources and support that they need. Student engagement for some of our undocumented students. So, at times, some of our students are not accessing the resource that is available outside of school. So I think part of our next steps is to ensure that we are increasing the number of our students who are able to engage in these opportunities that Ready CT has to offer, and then continue advocating for state funding for expanded opportunities for our students. Next slide, I think that's it. Okay, I think that was it. Questions?
I have a question. Sorry, just take me a second to raise my hand.
Go ahead, Board Member Fortune.
Maybe it's somewhat unrelated, but as we're talking about learning and pathways and so on, do we still have very strong capabilities for delivering distance learning to students? And I'm asking particularly as you were bringing up undocumented students and pathways for them. I read that, for example, schools in Minneapolis, after ICE raided a high school there and was very violent towards the students, they're now offering distance learning to populations that just feel safer being at home, whether or not they're documented. Because if you look a certain way now, they, based on the Supreme Court decision, ICE can racially profile you and target you. So is that something that we have the capability to offer or can pivot to fairly seamlessly?
And I think that that's something that I will definitely bring up for discussion in terms of what would it take for us to be able to do that sort of seamless transition. So at our next Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, I'll have an update for you on that, and if that's something we can do and what it would take for us to be able to do that.
And Board Member Fortune, just to add to Dr. Sackey's point, there's a couple of things that we have to work through, which is what I know that Dr. Sackey is alluding to in terms of tech availability, Wi-Fi availability, which of course takes some coordination with our operations department, as well as being in alignment with CSDE around virtual learning and what's allowed and what is not. So thank you, Dr. Sackey, for taking that to the next committee meeting, but we'll definitely check in all those points to make sure we have a full answer.
Thank you, Dr. Atley.
Thank you. Ms. Fortune, you have another question?
I do. While I have all the committees here, I figured I'll just get all my questions in. I had also brought up to the board the possibility of either within teaching and learning embedding a special education subcommittee or possibly a special education committee on its own, because it's just, it's an area where we have a disproportionately larger number of students compared to some other districts. It's an area where there's a lot of parent complaints in terms of the quality of education students are receiving, or even just access to necessary and educational services that students need. It's also another area where we're losing a lot of students and we don't quite have the full infrastructure to service our students. So while everyone's here, I would be curious to know, how do we advance that? How do we make sure we're being more proactive with addressing our shortcomings in special education in a way that can address parent concerns, improve the delivery and quality of education to our special needs students?
Well, that Board Member Fortune, that would be the board to create an ad hoc committee if we see necessary. I think what you will find out is that the information that we'll soon receive as we go through our budget process and all the things that are presented to us and the questions that will be asked and the discussions that will be had. I think at that point, that's a spot for creating that ad hoc committee if we see necessary. So your the concerns you have could be addressed there.
Now, I would like to add that when we received the recommendations back from the special education audit, when I came on board, we have had the opportunity to meet with the organization, I believe K-12 Insight, can't remember their exact name, to walk us through those findings. And we do have report from the State Department of Education that we're making progress on the concerns that were there with special education, but we are going to dig deeper with support from the state financially to ensure that we can really execute on some of our shortcomings in special education. So our hand is on the pulse of that, and I'll be happy to share where we are with that with the Board of Education at a future meeting.
Okay, I just don't want to lose track of it. I know we have the retreat tomorrow as well. I would just want to make sure that we're moving in the right direction with that.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. We absolutely are. It's on our radar big time. That's one of our goals for the year.
Yeah, we can't lose track of it. You'll see, as a result of what's presented to us. There's no way is embedded into all what we do. That is a big part of some of the topics that are right there waiting for us. Are you all set, Ms. Fortune? For the moment?
For the moment, sure.
Okay.
And while they're
So
pausing,
yeah.
I was going to share the organization is New Solutions K-12, and the president is Nathan Levinson. And prior to the Christmas break, I had a very good meeting with him and his team, and we're looping in the state for some financial supports to help with special ed. So we'll update the board as soon as we get some information on that.
Okay, Miss Santiago, can you give a I don't know where we are. I'm sorry.
That concludes
yeah.
our portion, but I did, Board Chair, thank you. I did want to turn it over to Superintendent Townsend in case there were any other announcements or things that you wanted to share before we close out.
Okay. We're not used to this. Sorry.
It's okay. So what I want to share is we have our hand on the pulse on everything. As you know, last year's budget cycle, I believe the city shared about $3 million with us to do things like our piece of the pie, Ready CT, health clinics and dental clinics. And it's incumbent upon us. We actually own the work. So it's our job to share with the board where we are on the implementation of all of those programs, just so the board can know where that return on investment is. And one thing I share with our team today, I would like for the health clinic and dental clinic to share the return on investment on those monies received there on how we're servicing our kids, just so they can just be informed decisions as we go into fiscal year 27 budget cycle. So this is an opportunity to share the money that was given to us for the work we were expected to do. This is where we are now, hand on the pulse, and an opportunity to continue to monitor and adjust as we move forward. So that concludes my comments, and my bus will be parked.
Okay, if there are no other questions last minute from any board member or comments, I thank you all for your time this evening. I thank the staff for the presentation, and good night.
Good night.
Oops, one.
Yeah, she did. Francois.
I don't know, some people might have
Francois.
dropped off.
No, I'm here. It's okay. But good evening, everyone. I just wanted to just put a little announcement, a little quick plug. this is actually Dream Week for Martin Luther King, the scholarship breakfast that's leading up to Saturday, and on the 14th, there's going to be that short documentary that's going to be shared through Hartford Public Schools. So I'm going to connect with, I believe, I'm going to connect with someone, she may have dropped off, to just kind of like finalize that. So I wanted to put that out there. That is all.
And can Dr. Ratley hang on after we stop broadcasting? I have a question about a community event.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And I